Hi, and welcome to this training session on using hashtags in your marketing. My name is Sarah Orchard and I am the creator of GetFullyBooked.com. I've worked in marketing for over 27 years, predominantly with travel and tourism sector businesses, and I also run my own holiday accommodation business. So I understand what it's like to run an actual business from an operations point of view, but also having to do the marketing as well. So as I said, in today's session, we're going to look at hashtags. So what is a hashtag? Well, it uses the hashtag symbol, which is a bit of an American expression, but we've all come to understand it these days because hashtags are used in social media. And they are a way of filing content of a similar subject. So you have to think about it a bit like a filing system in that all of the content that is about the same subject or maybe from the same company or on the same theme uses a hashtag. And the hashtags are used in social posts, predominantly on Twitter and Instagram, to actually flag what the content is. The way it works is it can help you get visibility when people are interested in searching for that topic. And also people can click on the hashtags and they can then see all of the related content with the same hashtag. So as I said, that's why I referred to it like a filing system, in that you can find related content on the same subject. So here's an example of what hashtags look like. You've probably seen them on social posts. This is just an example from Silver Circle Distillery, which is Wye Valley Gin. So they've got a series of hashtags there from one of their posts. And it obviously uses their brand name. It also uses things like craft gin, visit Wales. It actually is flagging what the content is all about, but I'm going to come on to explain a bit more about that. So I often get asked, how many hashtags should I use on a social post? And the answer is, it depends. It depends on which platform you're using. As I said, Twitter and Instagram tend to use hashtags more, but there's generally a sort of a good rule of thumb in terms of best practice on how many hashtags you should actually use. And they're saying that actually for Facebook, you should probably only use 1 to 2 hashtags. You probably know yourself when you're using Facebook, it doesn't really use hashtags that much. It has been proven through people analysing the visibility of posts that have more than a couple of hashtags, and anything more than about 3 is thought to actually have a negative impact on your reach of your posts rather than a positive impact. So it's worth bearing that in mind if you're using a tool like Hootsuite or Buffer, or maybe using the Business Suite tool to schedule your posts, that you're not pumping out the same post on Facebook and Instagram. You probably should create them separately because you'll want different amounts of hashtags on each one, because otherwise it could be detrimental to your actual effectiveness of your post. Twitter, again, 1 to 2, although I have seen people use more hashtags. The real one, the big daddy of hashtags really, is Instagram. And you can have up to 30 on every post. There's lots of debate about whether it should be 10, 15, 20. You can use all 30, so use 30. But the key thing is that they have to be good quality. So I'm going to come on to talk about shortly about how you research hashtags and how do you pick the right ones to put on your posts. Pinterest, I'd recommend no hashtags. All of the text gets picked up from a keyword point of view. Hashtags, you can use them, but they don't actually help your posts particularly. And on LinkedIn, it's recommended between 2 or 3. So how do you go about deciding which hashtags to use? And there are some free tools that I'm going to walk you through that can be used along with your common sense to come up with the best hashtags for your business. So here's one that's quite useful. It's called tagdef.com. And this is quite useful if you don't know what a hashtag means, because sometimes people use abbreviations or hashtags that you might not know even what it stands for. So you can actually put that into the tagdef.com and it will actually tell you what the definition of that hashtag is, which is quite useful. Then there are 3 other sites that I can and have used, which is hashtagify.me, Tags for Likes, and allhashtags.com. These are, they used to be free, but most of them now seem to want to sign you up to a trial and then obviously get your credit card details. So you can use them to do some, particularly tags for likes. You can actually type in a subject and see what hashtags come up, and they've actually got them grouped by sort of sector or theme. So travel, for example, is a sector, but I find that the hashtags are a little bit generic and probably not that useful for each individual business. Hashtagify.me and allhashtags.com are quite useful. Allhashtags.com has got a free version that you can use without signing up to a trial. But again, the hashtags can be quite generic. So I tend to find that the most useful tools are, one, go and look at what your competitors are using. So people that are doing well on social, go and look at the hashtags that they're using and the structure that they're using. And also one of the most effective means is to go on, particularly on Instagram, and use the search function. So I'm going to sort of show you how to do that and talk through how to go about using that to come up with your hashtags. So the key thing is you can go on to, you can see here, you can go onto the search bar on Instagram and you can type in a hashtag expression. So maybe a keyword that you think might be relevant for your business. So I've just come up with one here, dog-friendly pubs. And you'll see in the search, you've got all the results. You've got people, which is obviously pages, hashtags here, and then you've also got locations. So I can see that Dog-Friendly Pubs has over 5,000 posts that have used that hashtag. Now, some of the posts that will have used, or some of the hashtags might have been used up to like 1 million times. Now, that obviously means it's a very popular topic on Instagram. If you were to pick all of the hashtags that have very large volumes of usage in terms of hashtags, the likelihood of you being visible is quite small. So it's always better to have a mix of hashtags. Some will necessarily or have to be the most popular ones. You know, if you're a dog-friendly pub, you're going to use the expression dog-friendly pub. If you're a holiday cottage, you might use staycations or holiday cottages, weekend getaway. You know, they are going to be high volume hashtags. That's not always a bad thing, but maybe try and think about them in thirds. So the first third would be describing what's in the photograph, what the post is all about. The other third might be these sort of more generic, what I call like business category hashtags. So dog-friendly pubs, staycations, holiday cottages, family-friendly attraction. You know, they are actually more category specific. And then the last third may be about your location. They may also be ones like Visit England, visit hashtag Dean Y, because obviously that might be your location, hashtag Cotswolds. It also should be your brand name as well. So you should put your business name as a hashtag. I always use it as the last hashtag that I sign off for. You can also use hashtags with humor. So I don't know, hashtag my dog would love this pub. You know, you can use hashtags to put some personality in. Doesn't mean that they'll be that highly searched, but other people may have used similar ones. So like, for example, hashtag view from my window might be from your holiday cottage. It might be an amazing view that it's got. So actually hashtag view from my window actually probably is quite a popular hashtag. I know because I've used it. But you can use the hashtags to also put in some humor. And we saw on those Silver Circle Distillery ones, some of them could be I love gin, for example, could be a hashtag that's quite fun. It might also be some of the ones like Insta food, Insta pick of the day. There's a whole series of sort of Instagram sort of specific ones for different sectors that you could also use. So just think about them maybe in thirds. That's quite a good way of thinking about your 30 that you're coming up with. And the likelihood is you'll have more than 30 because you might also have seasonal ones, or if you're like a pub, for example, you might have some for the accommodation, you might have some dog-friendly related ones, you might have some around the food or the beers. So you're going to have more than just 30 hashtags, but you'll want to mix them up according to the post that you're doing. So I would go on to, as I said, the search on Instagram. I would type in some expressions that I think are relevant to my business, and I would see what hashtags come up. Here's an example of the hashtags obviously appearing in the post. And I often get asked about where you should put them, whether you should put them actually in the post itself, the caption, or whether you should put them in the first comment. Putting it in the first comment can keep your post's captions looking really neat. And as long as you get it in the first comment within the first sort of, immediately within the first few minutes of posting, the likelihood is you will still get the benefits of the hashtags. But the other thing to do is, as this example, is just space them out by using some dots and spacing them down the post so that they don't look too messy. As I said, I would go onto the search function and I would type in, so we did dog-friendly pubs, and I would also see which posts are coming up. So I would actually then look at those posts in a bit more detail. So here on the screen, you can see that dog-friendly pubs has had over 5,000 posts. So that's not that big for Instagram, given that there's over a billion users. Some of the popular posts, hashtags will be into the millions. And you'll see here it gives you the top posts. So these are the posts that are performing best on Instagram for that particular hashtag. So it's always worth going in and looking at those posts and seeing what hashtags they're using. So I would click on the first 10. You're not going to be able to go through all of them, but I would normally look at the first 10. And then I would look at here what hashtags they're using. And I would make a note of them. And one of the key things that's really useful is obviously Instagram, you may be doing it from your phone. What I use on my iPhone, I use Notes. Obviously other brands of smartphone will have different tools that you can use, but I save my hashtags actually on my phone in Notes, so that I've almost got them ready to hand, and I actually put them under different headings. So I've got them under different themes so that I can just literally copy and paste the ones that I want to use into my post when I'm either scheduling it either in Business Suite or I'm actually doing it on the phone live. And that way I don't have to keep retyping all of them, because obviously there are a lot, especially with 30, it's quite a lot to do. But so I would go through those top, say 10 posts, and I would look at all those hashtags and I would make a note, and then I would also look at what competitors are doing. And that will enable you to put together a list of hashtags. And what you need to do is then try them consistently on your posts and see which posts actually perform better than others. Obviously, as I said, you need the hashtags to sort of reflect the content. So you can't just copy and paste the same hashtags every time, because your photographs will change and you'll have different content. But monitor and look at how they're performing and which ones are doing best. And then you can refine them, and you might decide to drop certain hashtags and actually put different hashtags in. And I'm going to show you on another training session how to use Facebook and Instagram Insights, which is also quite helpful to sort of look at from a hashtag point of view. But hopefully that's proved helpful in terms of getting to grips with hashtags. Thanks for listening. And don't forget to watch the other digital marketing training videos in this series.